Let's take a quick look at the science. Now, I know all of you have been having great success with our reds and greens booster or optimizer. It really represents a breakthrough in science. This word breakthrough is so often used and abused in nutritional products, but let me explain to you why this term is accurate here. It's a breakthrough because we are taking part in a revolution in science. Doctors and scientists are throwing away their old books on genetics because this field of epigenetics is completely changing our understanding of this topic. This new field of epigenetics now has taught us that we can actually change the codes embedded in our own DNA. This means we have control over much of what lies within our DNA. We'll soon be able to predict disease and have a chance to avoid it through epigenetics. And we'll soon be able to tailor medications and even diets for you to have the best outcomes based on your own genes. And in less than 10 years from now, we'll all have access to our own genetic codes and the potential epigenetic switches that will affect our lives. So I've said it, and I'm quite comfortable with my prediction. I guess in 10 years from now, we'll talk and you guys will score me on my prediction. So let's look at how the field of epigenetics has actually grown. I first noticed material coming out with the journals in a year around 2000. It was interesting, but still underdeveloped. But just look at how this science has grown from a couple dozen articles in 2000 to over 20,000 articles in 2020, and I'm sure it's 2023. There are many more. This is a 1,000% increase. And now Immunotech is now part of this revolution. So here, look at this diagram again. Here we see strands of DNA, our blueprint of life. And you see that there are switches which the DNA is curled around. These are epigenetic switches. This is what's new in science. Let me explain how this works. Let's look at one of these little switches. Here you see that the switch is in a neutral position, and the result is your average guy taking a comfortable walk. Now, what happens when you trigger a bad epigenetic switch? See what happens? Maybe arthritis, maybe an autoimmune disease. What kind of things can trigger a bad switch? Well, poor diet, toxins, possibly even stress. Okay, well, what happens when you trigger a good switch? Maybe increased muscularity, maybe better endurance. How do you turn on these good switches? Aha, well, that's the key message here today. So what do you want to do? Well, the answer is easy. Let me show you how. So we're learning more and more every year about what are the good switches and what are the bad switches and which ones can be influences. And which gene do you think has received the most attention to date? Well, if you guessed the NRF2 gene, you're right. Recognize the name because a couple of years ago, you didn't even hear about this until we brought out the optimizer. And what is the best NRF2 activator? What is the best way to turn on this good NRF2 gene? Well, you got it. Sulforaphane, a little molecule that lives inside of fresh broccoli. So your grandmother was right. Eat your broccoli. She didn't know why it was good for you, but now we do. And we know because of great amount of evidence. And what evidence do I have to say this is the best trigger? Well, what I always say, remember, research, research, research. Look at the evidence. When you compare sulforaphane to any other substance, it has by far the strongest effect on turning on the NRF2 gene, more than curcumin, more than lycopene, more than dozens of other substances that have been examined. And what happens when you activate the NRF2 gene? What does it do? It improves the function of all of our antioxidants. So it'll improve the action of the supplements you may be taking. But get this, it'll even improve the value of the fruits and vegetables that you're eating. So your food as well, your whole nutrition will be improved just by increasing NRF2 activity. And what is even more impressive is that studies suggest that a properly switched on NRF2 activator can enhance antioxidant activity for up to 3 days. 3 days. And of course, one of the most important things, let's not forget, NRF2 also improves your glutathione function. We are the only company that can supply the best glutathione precursors, that being Immunical, and the best NRF2 activation. And all of this, you end up with hyperactive glutathione levels. So this is just part of what you have in the optimizer, the NRF2 mediator. So imagine if we can add energy into the equation. I think you're going to like this. First, we took green coffee, a natural source of caffeine. You can feel the effects of this in as little as 15 or 30 minutes after ingestion. Then we added a green tea extract. This too has a slightly different form of caffeine. This takes longer to take effect. You see that the curve is shifted towards the longer side. And finally, we have guarana. This is a South American plant that has a very unique form of caffeine that can be seen as a slow release form. This will carry forward for many hours afterwards. So this is something that was not easy to achieve, but here you have it. Only available through Immunotech. Starts in 15 minutes and lasts up to 6 or even 8 hours. And at Immunotech, we're always going to be concerned about safety. And we feel that it's the responsible thing to say about any energy products. If you take it too late in the day, it may be making your falling asleep harder. And for all energy products, you need to take some caution if you have heart disease, high blood pressure, or are prone to getting anxious with caffeine products. So all that being said, here we have a product that uniquely combines the most effective NRF2 activator available with a source of quick-acting, long-lasting energy that will improve both your physical and your mental performance. So Immunical Booster, the energy and performance type, use it well. And thank you for your attention.